Hello. So I'll be honest with you, today we are going to talk about something that I have mixed feelings about, and that is drought-tolerant landscapes. It's not that I don't like cacti and agave and succulents, and in fact I think they look great in front of an adobe-style home, or maybe a Texas hill country-style home. In front of a contemporary home, they look amazing, transcendent, almost like a work of modern art. The problem is, I don't have any of those types of homes. I have a very different style. I do something much more magical and whimsical, so the deserty look doesn't work for me. So today, when we talk about xeriscapes, and that is Sarah with an X, we're going to ask Tommy, are there any drought-tolerant plants for those of us who might still want to water less, but don't necessarily want that deserty look? So, come on, let's go meet Tommy, and let's grow together. So we're here at this fantastic hill country style home. I say style because we're not actually in the hill country, we're just outside of Dallas, Texas. But even though the landscape is newly installed, I think you can see that it matches the style of home beautifully. So already it's checking one of my boxes. Before we start, I do want to clarify why I'm using the term drought-tolerant plants and not the word xeriscape. It's because I find xeriscape problematic, mainly because I think a lot of people think they are saying zeroscape, and they think the zero refers to a plant that needs zero water. Well, the only plant that needs zero water is a dead plant. Xeriscape does refer to a plant that needs zero supplemental irrigation, i.e. sprinkler systems, but it still needs water. It's supposed to ideally exist on rainwater alone. However, we're going to use drought-tolerant plants. I think now it's time that we talk about the true meaning of the word tolerance.
Actually, Ryan, there is a difference between zeroscape and xeriscape. Xeriscape is actually a landscape that is made up mostly of rock and gravel. A xeriscape, spelled with an X, is actually a landscape that has been planned out in a way that will require very little water.
This is Tommy. He's our operations manager and a buyer at Covington Nursery. That's not why he's here, though. He's here because he loves these desert plants, and also he's very knowledgeable about them. Tommy, nice to see you again. Remind me, why is it that you like these plants?
You know, I really developed a passion for drought-tolerant plants the first time I went to Mexico.
Today, we are going to talk with Tommy about 5 different things. 1, agave. 2, cacti. 3, yucca. 4, succulents. And 5, well, just picture a question mark. We're not quite sure yet. Tommy is going to surprise me by showing me something that is perfect for people like me that love the concept of a drought-tolerant plant, but are not quite ready for that desert aesthetic at their house. Come on, Tommy, let's go talk about agaves. So, before we talk about this beautiful agave, Tommy, I want to talk to you about the true meaning of the word tolerance. Because drought tolerance doesn't mean that a plant needs no water. You told me just the other day how often you water the desert plants at your house.
Exactly, yeah. So when referring to watering schedules for your agaves and your cactus and yuccas, once a week in the summer, if we don't get any rain, is all these guys are going to need. The rest of the year, we get plenty of rainfall for any agave.
Okay. I mean, so you really, about 9 months out of the year, you don't do any supplemental watering at all?
None at all.
Okay. What are we standing next to?
This is an agave Weberi.
I guess that was my only question there.
Oh.
So, we're here with this barrel cactus, and I'm going to admit, this is a pretty cool cactus. So let's say that we love the look of this, we want it in our yard. Now we have a new problem. How do we plant it? How do you plant something that you can't touch? Actually, Tommy, how do we even get it out of the bucket?
Right, so very common question, Ryan. Yeah, when you're dealing with a cactus or even agave like this, if you touch it, it's going to hurt, right? Yeah. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the bucket.
I do notice also that Tommy has on gloves. So I didn't bring any gloves, of course, but Tommy has gloves. You've got it out of the bucket, it's ready to be planted. Do I need special soil for cacti, succulents, agave, everything we've been talking about?
Absolutely, Ryan. So here in Northeast Texas, our soil is mostly clay. It's very alkaline. You definitely need something that's going to drain better.
Okay, I feel like we have something at the nursery at Covington.
We do. So our Covington's agave and cactus mix is perfect to plant any agave, cactus, yucca, all your drought-tolerant plants.
And then can I use all of my normal fertilizers that I would use on all my other shrubs? Can I use those?
Actually, Ryan, it's not necessary. Agaves and cactus and a lot of your drought-tolerant plants, they like a more neutral pH, so it's really not necessary to use any fertilizers.
I honestly did not know that you do not have to fertilize these plants. Root stimulator?
Not necessary either.
Okay. I'm starting to kind of warm up to these to these cacti. They seem very easy, I will say that. Tommy, I do have one more kind of silly question. This bed has been finished in traditional mulch, but so often I see these desert scapes and they're finished out in the pebbles and the rocks. Is there a reason for that?
It's mainly for aesthetic, Ryan.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Let's go and move on to yuccas. Tommy, before we leave this beautiful house, I had to stop by here because someone told me that this is your favorite type of yucca.
I love this yucca, Ryan. This is a Bright Star yucca. I like this for a couple different reasons. One, it's extremely cold tolerant. So this guy here will go down to 0 degrees.
Oh.
So probably not ever gonna have to wrap it. Another reason I like this in the fall, when we do start to get some colder temperatures, this guy's gonna change colors.
Okay.
The leaves, they're gonna turn reddish, orange, pink hues. It's very neat, very neat.
So it does a color show and you don't have to cover it. I can see why you like it. Let's go up to the nursery though and look at some more yuccas.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. So we're up here at Covington's nursery. I suspect that Tommy has a lot of favorite yuccas. However, I have asked him to narrow it down to just one, his absolute favorite, and he has picked this bad boy here. Tommy, what do we have?
Yeah, so this is my favorite, Ryan. This is a Yucca Rostrata. Actually has a couple different names. Beaked yucca, blue yucca, the queen of yuccas.
Ooh.
It's my favorite for a couple reasons. One, it's extremely cold hardy. This guy goes down to -20.
Oh my.
So extremely cold hardy here, Ryan.
This is the kind of thing I was talking about, by the way, that I mentioned earlier about looking great in front of a contemporary style house. I almost feel like that it itself is a work of art. Also, you told me that a lot of people were using it now to replace...
Yeah, palm trees. That's another reason why I really like this one. A lot of people are using this as a replacement for their palms.
Because it's more cold hardy, you don't have to replace it.
Exactly.
Okay, the Yucca Rostrata, everyone. So, number 4 on our list is succulents, and Tommy, you just told me something really interesting about the word succulent.
Yeah, so a succulent, Ryan, is actually anything that's going to store water in its leaves.
So, I mean, that includes the cacti and the agave that we've already been talking about.
Absolutely, yep.
But a lot of people think about succulents as these little miniature guys in the 4-inch pots that you see here.
Yeah, usually when someone says the word succulent, they're referring to things like sedums or echeveria or aloes.
So I would think of these guys as being perfect to use as like icing for our desert type landscape, something to finish it off and really complete the look. Is that?
Well, Ryan, a lot of these are better suited for pots because they're not extremely cold hardy. So those are going to be ones you'll put in like a combination basket or even a hanging basket, and then when it gets down to freezing temperatures, you'll put those inside your house or bring them in the garage.
Or you could also treat these just the way that you do annual flowers and know that you're only going to enjoy them for a season.
Sure.
Okay. That's really all I have to say about these. Okay, so we've made it to number 5. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, or the moment I've been waiting for. Tommy promised to share with me a plant that is drought tolerant, but that doesn't scream desert. Tommy, what do you have for me?
So Ryan, right here we have a Texas mountain laurel. This is by far one of my favorite drought tolerant trees.
I mean, this is a beautiful tree.
Yeah.
I would put this in my traditional landscape any day.
So these are native to Texas. They're actually native to the hill country area.
It has Texas in the name, Texas mountain laurel, so I guess they're happy here with our weather, our drought.
Absolutely. Yep, they'll get about 15 to 20 feet tall. And they have magnificent purple blooms in early spring. They actually smell like grape soda.
Well, my mom says grape bubble gum, but yeah, we have one at the house. It's beautiful. So this is a great tree. How about a shrub that's not a cactus or an agave, but that is still drought tolerant?
I've got the perfect thing, Ryan.
Okay. Okay, now Tommy, I am getting some desert vibes from this plant, maybe just because I know that they do grow in the desert, but what do we have here?
Yeah, so Ryan, here we have a couple different varieties of Texas sage, another great drought tolerant plant.
I guess it's not technically a cacti or agave, so it doesn't have to give off those desert vibes, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, so here we have green cloud, a little bit darker green leaf compared to some of your silver varieties over here.
Tell me, all of this is blooming. My mom, I don't know if it was like an old wives' tale, but she told me that these always bloom right before a rain.
No, so actually they're gonna bloom sporadically through the summer, but when you're gonna get the most blooms is actually right after a rain.
Okay, good to know. So, Tommy, back when we were at that huge Weber's agave, you mentioned that you had a favorite agave that was similar, but that was more cold hardy. I'm guessing this is it.
Yeah, this is it, Ryan. So if I'm only going to pick one agave to go in my yard, this is what I'm picking. This is a whale's tongue agave.
Okay. Tell me about it.
So whale's tongue I like for a couple different reasons. One, it's fast growing.
Okay.
Most agaves aren't. Two, and most importantly, whale's tongue is extremely cold hardy. This is going to go down to about 0 degrees.
0 degrees. And is it going to get as big as that Weber's?
Not quite as big, Ryan. It'll get about 4 feet wide and about 3 feet tall.
So you're going to sacrifice a little bit of height, but you're going to gain a lot of cold hardiness.
Correct.
Okay. Before we go, this wouldn't be an episode about desert plants if I didn't ask you something that I get asked all the time. What is happening when the agaves put out this huge, strange flower thing?
Yeah, so agaves are monocarpic. Basically what that means is when they bloom, they die.
Poor little guy.
You know, agaves take anywhere between 15 and 30 years to actually bloom. So it's not like it's going to happen every year or anything like that.
Okay, so this plant is saying goodbye to us. It's its swan song.
Yeah, it is, but one thing to note, when agaves do this, they will produce pups.
Okay, so it just puts out a bunch of kids and then leaves. So it's saying goodbye. Unfortunately, it's also time for us to say goodbye. Thank you so much, Tommy, for all the information you've given us today. And guys, until next time, let's grow together. So the first thing I do when watching a gardening show or looking at these magazines in the supermarket is I want to know, where are these people? Oregon or Maine, God forbid Southern California. Everything grows in Southern California. They play by different rules than us. They're going to show you stuff in the sun that if we did that in Dallas, those things would be fried and dead in a week. Sorry. Here's another thing you'll notice. These gardening magazines, they almost never come to Texas. I feel like Southern living should be called Southeastern living. And when they do come to Texas, they always want to do a feature on some desert scape with cacti and agave, and that's fine. I know a lot of people like that. It's not my personal style. It's not what I do at my house, so it's not helpful to me. So basically in gardening magazines, I can see stuff I can't have or stuff I don't want.